Hello everyone and welcome to The Good Old Gamer. So today we're going to test out a cool fix that was actually mentioned in my last video by one of you guys. And I want to give a special shout out to Deds, D-E-D-S. I haven't spoken to you before, but this was absolutely excellent. He said, have you tried using DXVK Async compile to minimize the stutters? It's available in GE, which is Gloriouseggroll's builds of Proton and Wine, and can be enabled by using DXVK _async equals 1, and then command in Steam's launch. Or you can use DXVK _async in Lutris's environment and put 1 as the variable. This can trigger anti-cheat though, so only use it for single player games. So I went ahead and tested this out, as well as one of my members over on Discord. He actually tested it first and he's like, this is amazing, you have to try it. So I started testing it a little bit yesterday, and the performance that I got was absolutely staggering. So what I tested here is I tested Call of Juarez. Unfortunately, I did not record the video footage, but if you remember in my previous video, there was a lot of little micro stuttering during the game, and there was absolutely zero once I went ahead and enabled this. Also under Lutris, I tried The Witcher 3, and that also worked absolutely flawless. It did still have a few micro stutters here and there, but that was probably just the game doing its natural loading phase. You know, every once in a while it changes scenes, and sometimes you get that little micro stutter. But for the most part, it was much, much smoother than I'd ever seen it run before. So I'm super excited about this, as this may just eliminate the majority of the micro stuttering issues that I've been talking about for Linux gaming. And if that's the case, that means right now, today, the gaming performance on Linux should be good enough for most people. So I wanted to go ahead and test out a few more games with you guys, as doing it basically live. So I haven't tried these out before, and see what will happen. Now, the next game I'm going to test is Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I tested this game out on Linux, and it was very, very shader heavy. It took a long time in the city scene to get the shader cache up, so I wanted to see if it would work in this particular game, because if it does, basically, in my opinion, that means we are good to go. So to enable this, you do need the custom version of Proton from Gloriouseggroll. Basically just Google search Gloriouseggroll Proton GE and then find the GitHub. So once you have that, just click on it, find the latest release. Right now that's 7-14, and then go ahead and download the tar.gz. If you remember from my previous videos, that's basically just, you know, like a .zip file. Now, I've already had it downloaded, but what you do is then you extract, and then poof, there you go, you have this folder, right? So all you have to do is just copy the folder, go under Home, go to Steam, and then under Steam, we need to go under Root, and then you have to create a directory called compatibility-tools.d. I'm going to put it up on the screen, so this way my screwing up of speech won't hurt you. And once you have that folder in there, you just open it up and just paste in the GE Proton 714. And then once you do that, just reload Steam, and then you can go under Properties on any of your games, Compatibility, Force Compatibility, and there it is. So it's just automatically in there. So it's super easy to get going. So that's what we're going to go ahead and use here. Right, and then under General, we're going to go ahead and add in the DXVK _async equals 1, and that's %, command %. And that should do it. And that's all we need to do, and we can test the game out. Now, I do want to show you how to do Lutris as well before we start testing games. All right, so this one, basically the same process, except you go to Gloriouseggroll Wine GE. Proton and Wine are basically the same thing, but Steam does things a little bit different. So you need the Wine version for Lutris. We have Wine GE Proton 7-8 as of recording. That is the latest version. Same thing. Download the tar.gz. Go under your downloads, extract it, and then you have the folder here. Now, this took me a sec because I did the same process as before. Instead of just copying this, go inside of it, and then there's another root folder. Make sure you copy that one. That actually took me a minute to figure out why it wasn't working. Once you have that, go back to Home. Now, this is a little bit different. You need to go under Local. Then you need to go under Share. Then you need Lutris, which is right over here. And then you go under Runners, Wine, and then you just paste it in there. And then that's it. It's basically the same thing. It will show up. Make sure you restart your Lutris, and then it's in there. So under Lutris, go under your runner options. Make sure you have the Proton 7-8. And then under system options, this is where we add in the async. So you just go to add, and then you just type in DXVK underscore async with a value of 1, and then save. So that's it. So that's how you set them up on both. Alrighty guys, so with that out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and check out Deus Ex Human Revolution. I have not run it on this system, meaning that there are no shaders cached yet, and we're starting from scratch. Well, as you can see here, now that we're starting to get into the city part that I was talking about, where it does get rough, you're seeing it acting pretty rough. So looks like this does not work in every game. Now, it could be because I had already played Call of Juarez and Witcher 3 on this system. Obviously, I went further in. It could be that those games did have enough shaders already cached that it made a bigger difference. But yeah, all right. So maybe we need a baseline shader cache instead of starting completely fresh, because now that I'm out here, this isn't running too bad, but it's running about how I was expecting it to work without async. So one of two things may be going on. Either it's not working correctly, or we're just simply still needing to do the shader cache and getting the stuttering. So personally, I would chalk this one up to I don't think that it's working right. And it looks like the graphical glitch that I thought I saw before was this. Like, you see that blue on the wall there? It's supposed to be the light flickering in and out. I thought it was just the texture not loading. So yeah, I'm assuming that it's not running here with all of the hitches that we saw getting this up and running. So let's go ahead and try a more modern game. Maybe it doesn't work in older titles. Maybe it requires something a little bit newer. Alrighty guys, so next up, let's try some Resident Evil 2. Once again, we go to Properties, then we go to Compatibility, Force, GE Proton 7-14, and then General, we do DXVK underscore async equals 1, and then we do percent command percent. Alright, so let's see how this works in this game. All right, so here we go. I do want to preface this. This does have a 4 gigabyte shader cache that downloaded before getting into the game. So this game definitely has a lot of pre-cached shaders. Just walking around in here, don't seem to be having any issues. The frame time graph there seemed to be looked like it was stuttering, but I couldn't feel any of it, and it didn't visually see any different. Now it seems to have leveled off at the 120. I'm guessing we're hitting some sort of limitation, maybe GPU limitation. This is 1080p on a GTX 1080 Ti, and we're hovering around 90% completely maxed out. I'm trying to hit 120 FPS V-synced, but I'm not seeing any 0 frame time spikes. So in this particular game, this may be working. The async may be doing its thing, or the game just simply has enough pre-cached shaders that it runs really well. So let's try. There we go. We just hit 1. There we go. Let's go on outside here and see if any of this does a thing. All right, no hitches there with the shooting. Okay. Okay, so about as far as I could tell on this one, this is running pretty much perfect. Now, this could just be from pre-cached shaders, or it could be the async. So if you are having any issues on this, obviously try the async out. But this is running flawlessly. I had one shader cache micro stutter, and that was only because the HUD came up, and it just needed to cache that real quick. But that was it. So this game's running pretty much perfect. All right, so next up, we're going to try Ryze, Son of Rome. This is another newer game, and this one does have some serious shader compilations at the beginning of some of these levels. I've not run it on this system yet, so we're going to be starting from the jump. So once again, we're going to go ahead and see if the async will make it a smoother experience or not. Like I said, with Resident Evil 2, it's very difficult to tell because of how large the precompiled shader pack is. So... all right, so this beginning part is very, very shader heavy, and we are seeing no massive spikes. So this is actually another great implementation. So it looks like Deus Ex might have just been the outlier. I don't know, or maybe it's not on every game that this will work, but this is amazing The last time I ran this on Linux, it was significantly worse. Like this was just a shader compiling mess right here because of all the things that we have going on here. All right, so if I could actually focus on playing, maybe we can actually get to another scene. Hey, look at that. Jump down. Thanks, buddy. Okay, so yeah, this is a huge improvement. Now, granted, it could also be Steam maybe updated the shaders, but from what I've noticed, that doesn't have this level of impact. It might lessen it, but this is virtually flawless. This is the game just running like how it should. All right, we're fighting some guys, blood splattering. Usually that would be, you know, the shader will start caching on that front. So this is actually unbelievably good, guys. Sorry, I'm actually playing while I'm doing the speech, so if I'm kind of like distracted, it's because I don't want to look like a total noob. Meanwhile, now I'm talking and I'm looking like a total noob. So, you know, failed at life there. But regardless, yeah, this is really, really good. So I would say that, you know, hey, Ryze on Rome, which, like I said, it took me probably good 5 to 10 minutes to get enough shaders cached to where this part right here was playing quite smooth. Just right off the jump. You guys saw it. I just loaded in and here we are, and this is excellent. So let's test out a few more games here and see if Deus Ex might just be the outlier or if maybe that is more the average. All right, so next up I'm gonna try out Singularity here. I already obviously have it downloaded, and we're just gonna go further than I did in my previous test, so we move past the incorporated shader cache. So we got DXVK, that's Async. I should probably just copy this and save it, but hey. Alrighty guys, by this point, none of the shaders have been cached. So we saw a little micro stutter there, but that was probably just loading because, well, the game just loaded to a whole new world. And wow, yeah, so we're getting nothing. So all these shaders are not cached, and the game is running just fine. Little hitch in the frame time graph there, but that was very, very minor. That was not a shader cache hitch. Oh yeah, we gotta save this guy. So DirectX 9 games do seem to benefit from the async. This is running flawless now, whereas, like I said, I've tested this game multiple times on Steam and GOG, and they have the same stuttering issues throughout this entire sequence. But now we're having no problems with that at all. And why can't I go through this door? Do I have to go backwards, I guess? Okay, I can't go backwards. Oh, we're going this way. So, yeah, this definitely seems to be working on this game as well. Nothing. Usually big explosions and new particles and stuff that the game hasn't rendered yet, that should hit you. Like right there, we did get a little bit of a blip, but I think that was just the game like loading. That just doesn't seem to be the same as the shader cache hitches that, you know, we were seeing beforehand, before putting on async. All right, cool. So I would actually say that that was a resounding success. I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to try out a few more games and see how those guys do. All right, so for Batman, this little Steam app thing comes up. Just hit wait, or you can just ignore it. It'll go away. It seems to take longer to load Batman than Linux seems to like, so just ignore that. Okay, so obviously we've already run Batman, the benchmark, so I can't just go through and do that again. But what we can do is we can go in and actually run the game, because there's going to be a lot of shaders there that we haven't seen before. All right, so we just had a big stutter, cache stutter right there, and that may be the only one, which would be really cool if that happens to be the case. Okay, unfortunately, there's another one. There's another one. Okay, so there we go. So here's another example of a game that just seems to not work with this. I mean, the game's still running pretty well, obviously. You know, this is very, very playable. You just get those little micro hitches versus some of the other games are getting none. So this definitely appears to be a game-by-game type situation. Yeah, so it's definitely worth enabling, seeing if it helps. Obviously, the games are playable regardless, but I know a lot of you guys, you don't want any of that, and we're not quite there yet. So the silver bullet isn't quite done, But once we get to the point where we have enough precast shaders downloaded, plus this async, we're just getting there so fast, guys. Like I said, this is something that I didn't even know was a thing until here today, and it seems to be working quite well in a lot of titles. Like I said, Ryze Son of Rome, that was a flawless experience. It turned that game from something having tons of shader caching issues like Deus Ex did at the beginning to a game that just ran perfectly from the jump. So just means more games are going to run smoother more often. And I think I'm going to leave it there on this one. Batman here, Batman just doesn't like to play by the rules, and a few other games there. But I'd say we're probably batting about 50% at this point in time. I'll test out a bunch of other games personally, but I think you guys get the point. It's worth turning on. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You're not losing any performance or anything. And in terms of visual quality, I didn't see any real issues or hitches or problems using async on or off. So just turn it on. If it works, like I said, it's fine. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You're not losing out on anything. So I hope this helped you out, guys. It does kind of paint a nice picture of the future for Linux gaming. And if you guys like these type of videos, please smash that like button. Please subscribe. Please share with friends. That really does help me out, especially anybody interested in getting away from Windows. This type of videos would be very useful for them. And if you guys have any other advice, feel free to add that in the comment section. And if you'd like to chat with me directly, you can do that by becoming a member by clicking the join button down below, joining the Techonomics podcast that Paul and I do twice a week, where we talk about PC tech, things like that. You can chat with us there, or you can go ahead and become a Patreon member by clicking the link down below. That gets you Discord access, and we can just chat about all sorts of fun stuff, whatever you want, whenever you want. All right. So I want to thank you all for your support. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.